Hi Year 2, welcome to this afternoon's art lesson. So for today's lesson, you are going to need a piece of black paper or card, if you've got them, some sort of starry sequins, I don't know if you can see them, and a ruler or something that you can use to draw a straight line with, and a metallic if you've got one, or if not, just a brightly coloured pen. I've got a silver pen, but you could have used a gold one or whatever you've got. If you don't have black card, that's fine. And if you want to draw this into your book today, you can just write the date and the skill into your book so we know that's what it is. Or if you'd like to maybe copy it into your book afterwards or trim around it on the card and stick it in, you can do that as well. Or if you'd like to just keep it out and maybe put it on the wall, that's fine too. So it's completely up to you how you want to do it today. It might be worth watching the video and then deciding how you want to do it once you know what the challenge is. Okay, so in today's art lesson then, we are going to use our observational skills to create constellations. So today we are going to be learning about constellations. So a constellation is a group of stars in the sky that make a certain pattern. So you might have seen some of these before. When the sky is clear, these stars can be seen from Earth without the use of a telescope. And in total, there are 88 named constellations. So maybe sometimes it gets dark so early nowadays because we're in winter, that if you're out in the evening and it's dark and you look up in the sky, you might see all of the stars, which is lovely. And some of the stars have got a name, and it's a group of them that can create a picture, and we call them constellations. So the constellations form a perceived outline or pattern, so typically representing an animal, a mythical person or creature. And if you can imagine that the stars are dots, you can connect them up like a dot to dot to make the pictures, which is really cool. So here are a few examples of some constellations. So obviously in the sky, it's not just these stars, so imagine there's lots of other stars around them as well. So we've got this one that's called Lyra. This one's, I'm really sorry if I pronounced this wrong, but I think it's Cygnus, Canis Major, Aquarius, Orion, Leo, again, Cassiopeia, I think is how you pronounce that one, and Aries is the last one here. So usually the constellations in the North sky are easily visible to people who live in the Northern Hemisphere, that's us. So that is the entire area between the equator, which is that imaginary line in the middle of the globe that's really hot, and the North Pole. And the same is true for those in the southern sky. It's visible to those people living in the southern hemisphere. So we live in the northern hemisphere. So the closer you get to the equator, the easier it is to see constellations in both hemispheres. So in both the north part of the globe and the south part of the globe. But the closer you get to the poles, so that's the North Pole and the South Pole, the harder it becomes to see the constellations in the opposite hemisphere. In fact, there are certain ones that you cannot see from the poles at all. So here we've got the poles, so we've got the North Pole and the South Pole. So if you're at the equator, that's this part, then you're more likely to be able to see the constellations in the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere. But if you're at the South Pole, it's really tricky to see any stars in the North sky in the Northern Hemisphere because you're so far away. And the same with the North Pole. If you're at the North Pole, it's hard to see them from the Southern Hemisphere. So we are in the Northern Hemisphere, we're about here. So we can see lots of the Northern Hemisphere ones, but not many of the Southern Hemisphere. So today you are going to create your own constellation artwork. So you could draw stars for each star, or if you wanted to use marshmallows and bits of spaghetti to create a 3D sculpture, you could do that. It would be great to see how imaginative you can get when you're making your constellation artwork. So make sure you look carefully at the length of the lines in the pictures when you're looking at the constellation that you want to recreate, and decide what would be a sensible material to use. So here we've got marshmallows and spaghetti. We've got, it looks like thread, like threading thread, you know what I mean, through a hole to create this one, which is called the Big Dipper. And here, so they've stuck stars on and then drawn lines between. which is similar to the one that I did. Again here we've stuck stars on and then drawn the lines in between. And I really like this one because they've drawn lots of smaller stars in the background, so they don't look like stars, they just look like dots, but it gives that impression that this constellation is sort of bigger than the other stars, it's sort of closer to us. I really like that one. So let's have a look at a few more examples. So again here it looks like they've used Play-Doh and maybe some pins. They look like they've put some pins into paper and then put Play-Doh around it. This one's a funky one. Again, it looks like they've got some wool or some thread and they've used that as their material. This one's nice as well. So they've gone outside to the pavement and used some chalk to draw the lines in between the constellations and used pebbles or stones for the stars, which is really cool. And again, they've drawn the stars this time. It looks like they haven't stuck them on. Or maybe they have stuck them on with those stickers. I'm not really sure. But again, they've used stars and then drawn the straight lines in between them, which is really nice. So on the website, underneath this video, there is a PDF that has got these examples of the constellations that you could draw. So here is my one that I did. So I actually had some star sequence. Actually, Miss Dallum let me borrow them, which is really kind of her. And so I stuck them on. I actually took my pen and I drew some dots where I wanted the stars to be stuck after looking at the constellation. So I used my observation skills to draw the dots, and then I stuck the stars onto the dots where I wanted them to go, and then I used my ruler to draw the lines in between, so it's like the dot to dot. I don't know if you can see that. I hope you can. So that's how I did mine. So you can now have a go at yours, and once you finish that, we've got a challenge for you. Okay, off you go. Okay, so your challenge then for today's art lesson is to create your own constellation. So to invent your own shape using the constellation, using the star. So here are some examples. We've got a moon, a house, a crown, a heart, a boat, Mickey Mouse. Oh, that's the end. So this is the one that I've done. So I did the same thing. I started by drawing some dots, and then this time I've drawn them to create stars, and I wonder if anyone can guess what shape I'm doing. So this is what it looks like at the moment. I'm just going to use my ruler and my big silver pen to draw my line in between each of the stars that I've drawn, and hopefully some of you might have guessed already. You will be able to see the shape that I've created with my constellations. So I have done a number 2 for year 2 because year 2 are the best. So that is my creation that I created myself. I invented this constellation. So now you can have a go on your own at creating your own constellation that isn't from the sheet that is on the PDF. You can just create your own. So have fun. Make sure you send in your examples. It'd be great to see what you come up with, and we'll see you soon. Bye!